would give me as an example sometime when it came to that. And she was, ona była polonistką, więc dla niej to było ważne. No. And that was it, and that was just before the outbreak. I mean, that I never went to school afterwards again because the war broke out.
What about friends at school?
I had one or two friends in my class, indeed, but they're no longer alive. One was, I know, these people who are writing the book, they went to great lengths, I think, to establish all sorts of people, and they found whoever I spoke about, and now I know that they perished, this one perished, that one, so on. And one of them, Anita Lampel, with whom I was friendly, and I thought she also would have survived, like Gabrish, because she was your color, light blue eyes and blonde and so on. I thought they stood a chance to survive. And I somehow also asked here and there nothing. It must be perhaps 4 or 5 years ago when we came to Krakow, and Professor Skotnicki asked us to come to the hospital. He said, look, I can't leave here now, but do come, please come, and then we'll have a chat before a minute. So we came. And he stands there with one of the albums that he's writing, and he says, look at this, I have one more person I was looking for, and shows me a photograph of Anita, and he said, except that unfortunately she died 2 months ago in Canada. And her daughter sent him a photograph, which he, not knowing that I had the slightest thing, had it. I have somewhere here on where he has the photographs of some of the people. He shows me Anita. He said, Anita, look at this, Anita Lampel. He says, Anita Lampel? I said, my God, that was my friend from my class. He said, oh my God, she died 2 months ago. Her daughter sent me the photo and I have it printed. Isn't that amazing? So, I don't know whether there is anybody left there. Maybe yes, maybe not. And whether anybody will remember me, why would they? After all these years.
Well, from the sound of it, you were a colourful persona.
Yeah, so. But no. Maybe today, but in those days I was probably like anybody else. I mean, we were then at that school. And besides, I was only colorful because I was Jewish. So I was different, not colorful, but different.
No, but I meant your personality clearly,
Yeah, maybe I understand, but I mean, I couldn't. My personality was as subdued as anybody else's in that school. It was not that I couldn't. I had to be, like you see, I had bardzo dobre zachowania. Wszystko było bardzo dobrze, od góry do dołu i zachowanie też.
So. How aware, or actually what did you observe because you mentioned this case of anti-Semitism at school?
Well, that was obvious. The girl who, why she did it, no idea. Yeah. Why would she have done it? She must have been the one who hated me or something. I have no idea. How would a girl of what? Of 7 or 8 or 9 or 8 or something, maybe 9. Okay, I was younger, so she was not. Because on the school reports, which I have to, it shows the ages. So I see that everybody was older than I was by a year. So maybe she hated me. I have no idea. And to go and to invent such a story, invent such a thing.
But then isn't it often behind anti-Semitism some
absolutely
ridiculous made up?
Exactly so. How would a child of that age know about anti-Semitism to that extent if she didn't take it out from home?
Yes.
So she must have hated me knowing that I'm Jewish. I don't know what makes a child, do that to another child. And to think that I went to the class to read her, and it wasn't that anything was lying on top. No, We had desks when you had to open it, and these things were inside the desk, whatever they had. It's really awful. So, I sometimes see the name in Krakow because these Krakowians, they're families. So,
Yes.
whoever they are, I see the name of Pauka there. Somebody, maybe her grandfather or her father, I don't know who, is there. So, whether she is still alive, I don't know. But whether she would even remember that she did it if she were alive today, who knows? But to do a thing like this, to invent such a story, and to go to a teacher and to tell her before the lesson started, because the moment she came into the classroom, we stand up and we sit down, and that's it, the normal way. And then she's called me immediately, so she knew.
Did you observe any other cases of anti-Semitism in pre-war
Yes,
Krakow?
I did, but I didn't know what it meant.
So tell me what
I
what
saw,
you.
I did at the. This was something that I remember vividly. When Piłsudski died, and we lived in Piarska, which is by the Florian Gate, and our windows overlooked the wall into the Barbican that way. So when the funeral cortege was passing, it was passing through the Florian Gate, going from Barstowa that way into the Florian Gate, and we, from our windows, could see it all. And the moment the cortege went by into Florianska, that towards Rynek, a policeman on the other side was beating up a man with a truncheon, beating him. It was terrible because we were standing in the window, and my father was holding me and explaining about the cortege, about this, about explaining the funeral thing. And I said, suddenly I said, so they wanted to take me away, not to see it, not to see what's going on. I said, but why is he beating this man? Or what has the man done? And my father couldn't really tell me. He said, I don't know, maybe he missed me. But my mother said, well, he's Jewish, and so I couldn't understand. What do you mean he's Jewish? Well, so why does he beat him? He's Jewish. So my mother realized that she shouldn't have said it, maybe, or something, and nobody spoke about it ever again. But this is what happened. Immediately the cortege passed, he was holding this man and hitting him with a truncheon. Why did they know he was Jewish? Maybe he looked it, maybe he was Orthodox. I can't tell you that because I was so shocked. I couldn't understand why this policeman is beating. And that stayed with me to that extent that when I came to London in 1946, and I was we came on a communal visa, and everyone was we were distributed to various families. They had to sort of guarantee for a child and so on, and I was being guaranteed for by a family who lived in Stamford Hill, which was very Orthodox, Jewish Orthodox district. I knew nothing about that. So that family was also called Stern. So it was done in such a manner that, namely, the family and so on these bases. And I was there only for a few days, and then I was taken to school. I was put into a school. But I was there for a few days, and the so-called second day or third day, I said, could I possibly go outside and just have a look around here? So I said, yes, sure. So I went outside, and it was a main sort of thoroughfare, something, Amherst Park, I don't know, Main Street. On the opposite side was a Jew with, dressed in the entire attire completely, with this strammeled hat and so, which I haven't seen since I haven't seen that in ages, if ever, before, if ever. And the policeman next to him. And I got myself inside the main entrance to the door, and I was waiting when this policeman is going to hit that Jew. And he didn't. And I was waiting, and nothing happened. And what happened? He took this was an elderly man, obviously. He took him by his arm and brought him over to the other side of the street, saluted, and went off. And I couldn't believe what I saw. I couldn't believe what I saw. I thought, what is that? Was that a policeman? What was it? Why did he not beat this man up?
So even though the cases, at least before the war, that you've seen were not maybe many, that must have really
that states in I can see it today. Like I'm standing in the window and this policeman is hitting this man with a truncheon. And I couldn't understand that the policeman doesn't have a truncheon, no weapon, just like that, standing with his hands back. And then he took this man across the street, saluted, and went off. I couldn't believe it's possible. Didn't know what it meant. To me, that was something unheard of. A policeman is there to beat you up, not to help you.
You described your relationship with your father. What was your relationship with your mom?
Very good. It was different because my mother was a completely different kettle of person from my father. My father was very lively. I am like him, and my little brother was like my mother. Fine, noble, elegant, comme il faut, everything. You could have put him on a chair, you could have left, and you could have cooked a meal, you could have come back, he would be here. It was the dead opposites. But they loved each other. They were such a loving couple, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. So, my mother was always suffering with me, and my father thought it was fun, fantastic, So that was the difference. But otherwise it was fine, and my mother would always reprimand, Lili, proszę cię, no zachowuj się ładnie. She was a noble person. Nie, popatrz na twoje kolana, zawsze rozbite i to i tamto, popatrz się, zawsze jakieś plastry, a moja mamusia taka była i taki był chłopczyk, identyczny i podobny z wyglądu, z wszystkiego, ja jak tak.
That often happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's, until the end of our lives it was like this with my mother. She was the way she was. She was this noble, excellent, beautiful, elegant, wonderful person. Always na ostatni guzik, każdy włosek, wszystko. And there was I who was, and she would say, I don't know, co ty zrobisz, jak mnie nie będzie? Jak ty sobie dasz w życiu radę, jak mnie nie będzie? Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's how
mothers say that.
Mother, yeah, sure. But she was a marvelous, wonderful mother. She was an outstanding person from every point of view. Oh my God. Very outstanding, clever, wise. Far more so than my father. My father was not that he wasn't, but differently so. He was a sportsman. He was fun-loving. He was a great dancer. Apart from anything, all my mother's girlfriends were in love with my father because that's how he was. If you see nowadays, when I see a Federer play, I see my father. It's what he looked like. It's what he looked like. The silhouette, everything. And that's what he was, a great sportsman, not just for himself, for all the children, all my friends loved my father because he was always interested and did things with us, for children and so on. He was just great fun. He was fantastic. And don't forget, he was very young. I mean, when he died, he was 36 or 7. Died. I wish. But, so he was very, very young when they were young, when they had me.
Your brother, you said that your brother was more like your mom.
Absolutely.
And
he was
quieter.
totally like my mother.
So would he participate in those activities with your dad as well, or?
No, of course not. He was completely there. He would sit and read. Nobody, well, what are you doing there? I'm reading. What do you mean you're reading? Everybody started laughing. I mean, we're reading, you're reading. 5 years old, 4 years old, 3 years old, he's reading. He was serious. And every few minutes when he played outside or something, he would go under the window and call, Mamusiu, Mamusiu, yes, co jest, Urysiu? Ja cię kocham, and he was very gentle. Maybe today, who knows what he might be, but I don't know. Very gentle, very. When he would, during the war, when we were in one room and so on, and we slept together, he and I, when he would get undressed to go to bed, he would put all his clothes beautifully like this, and in order of how he would dress the following morning. Nobody taught him, nobody asked him. It was just in him. And he was very brilliant child.
Did you do the same?
No, not a bit.
Did it annoy you that he did it?
No, it didn't annoy me. We just laughed. That was he. Like my mother. Exactly the same. Like my mother. And I just, yes, I don't suppose I threw it on the floor, but I just put it down. That's it. But we laughed at that. He was a brilliant child. He was very highly intelligent child. Highly so. I can give you an example. He must have been, he was born 35, so this must have been prior before the World War, 3 years of age, something like that. There was a big storm over Krakow. So, children frightened, and so he was very, very frightened. And we hid somewhere under a table or something like that. He was very frightened. I held him. And when the storm passed, my mother took him, and the sun was coming out. So my mother took him, and we went to the window, and she put him on the windowsill and helped him and said, you see, Urysiu, look, nothing to be frightened of. Sometimes it happens, the rain is coming down, we need the rain for the trees. We explained to him all these things. And sometimes there is such a thing like a storm, because things like this happen too. It was difficult to start explaining to a 3-year-old. So, yeah. And afterward the sun comes out, so all is well, nothing to be afraid of. So he said, well, where does the storm come from? He asks. So my mother said, I don't know, somewhere. Well, it's up there. It comes from the heavens, and there's a. And heaven, what is in the heaven? He said, what is in heaven? In heaven, there is, God is in heaven. Except that I have to say that in Polish, because you see now in English it won't. W niebie, a co jest w niebie? A w niebie jest Pan Bóg. O. A mamusiu, ty kiedyś widziałaś Pana Boga? On się pyta. Mamusia powiedziała, nie, nikt nie widzi Pana Boga, nikt nie widział i nikt nie widzi, ale my wiemy, że jest. I to jest bardzo dobrze, dlatego że On czuwa nad nami wszystkimi. Okej. To on tak chwilę tego zastanawiał. Mamusiu, ale jak ty nigdy nie widziałaś Pana Boga, to skąd ty wiesz, że to jest Pan Bóg, a nie Pani Bóg? Dziecko miało 3 lata. On był niebywałym dzieckiem. Niebywałym dzieckiem. Nie ulega kwestii pod każdym względem, tak. Tak, to było takie pytanie w ogóle. Nie wiem, co moja mamusia miała do powiedzenia, nie
Bardzo
wiem.
dobre, współczesne takie.
Skąd ty wiesz, jak ty nigdy nie widziałaś, no? I takie cuda były. No, on pięknie grał w szachy, nikt nie wiedział, że on gra w szachy. Myśmy w ogóle nie wiedzieli, co to dziecko wszystko umie i robi. Szczególnie w czasie wojny, bo nie wiedziało się.
Tell me what was Kraków like and Lvov like in the 30s? How you remember it?
Beautiful, wonderful, I mean, lovely. I loved both cities. Lvov was great fun because we came visiting and so on. It was such a lovely city. And everybody was happy and everybody, you know, it was, it was, I can't give you the exact, what shall I say? I was a child, and to me, going there, it was an adventure, and it was wonderful, and everybody was happy and laughing, and we had parties, and we saw each other, and the streets were full of people, and people were singing, and it was fun. And the city was very beautiful, and the city is beautiful until today, of course, yes. Krakow, to me, was my home. And I loved it. I just loved Krakow like I love it today. I love my Krakow. Krakow was beautiful. I knew it inside out. I could go through Krakow on my own from here to there and plenty beautiful. And I played there, and the music was playing in restaurants or in coffee houses, and it was wonderful. And I loved this music, and I wanted to go and I wanted to dance like other people dance there, you know, all these sort of wonderful things. I had a very, very wonderfully happy childhood from every point of view. So what was there not to love? What was there not to love?
But it took you over 50 years to go back to Krakow.
Yeah, well, for a different reason.
Yes.
For a different reason. It took me more than 50 years. I left it in 1946, and I went back in the year 1998 or 1999, so about 55 years approximately took me. And for obvious reasons, I had nothing to go to. I had no one to go to, absolutely no one. Neither here, and in Lvov, the more reason, no. And in Krakow, nobody. So, to go there even immediately after the war, I mean, the war was still raging here in Europe, but we went back to Krakow in 1945. And it was terrible for us to be there. We never went anywhere near the houses or the streets where we lived before the war. It was awful. And we lost absolutely everyone. We were just left with my mother and I. So why would I have gone to Poland? What for?
But you eventually did go, and now you say you love it.
I went, like you see, like
Yes.
you read here. If it hadn't been for Felix Sharp, I might never have gone. And he was a Homo Krakowians. He was a great Krakowian who spent the war here. He was here in the army and so on, so on. But also, we all loved Krakow. As a city, we loved Krakow. And he was a great persona in Krakow, very well known from every point of view. Everybody loved Felek and so. And he was trying to persuade. And my mother never would have gone. Never. And so I wouldn't go for two reasons. A, because what for and to whom? But primarily, I wouldn't have done it to my mother, that I would go on my own and leave her here. I never did that. I never left my mother on her own, even though she was much younger and had plenty of friends here and so on. No. But there was no purpose. There was no reason for me to go.
So how did he manage to persuade you?
Simply by telling me that he was going every year, and people here held it against him. He said, why do you go there? Why? they hate you there. They would hate you. Why do you go there? Because, it was all globalized. Everything is globalized. You don't talk about specific people.